Well, the world is described as an illusion. So it's something that we're here temporarily, but we have an illusion that we're here forever. We want to build houses, we want to buy clothes, we want to settle in a world. We want to own things. We want to own land, property, houses, cars, etc. And we have to realize that yes, we're here temporarily. And once we do that, we have a limited time. In this limited time, we can do 10 things or 5 things, but whatever we do, it's the intention. So there's a beautiful saying that even if you know that the world is going to end tomorrow, Rasulullah, Prophet said, please plant the seed. Please plant the seed of the tree. A tree takes so long to grow, as you know. It takes decades. But the intention is that of doing good. So now the concept of Dajjal is something that is something that I've grappled with for years and for decades. In fact, I wrote a paper on it earlier, about 2 decades ago. It's a very interesting concept of a creature who has one eye, a long tail. It'll show you fire, but it can't burn you. And when you look at the television, it's something or the media, presently the media, it's gripped all our younger generation. I've got a young child of about 12, I've got another child, and I know that it's so hard to pull them away from social media. So this is a huge challenge because they're watching this day and night and the concepts are not familiar to them. The images that they see are not of themselves. They're not, for instance, people of color. There may be white, American, people sitting in Hollywood looking at a certain type. That's not like, for example, a Pakistani girl or a boy. Maybe the skin color is not the same, the features are not the same. So suddenly you feel misplaced, you feel rejected, you feel disturbed. There's also a belief that maybe it leads to suicide. So these could be very disturbing things for our younger generation and a huge challenge. So it's the duty of our scholars, our leaders, our community heads to put their heads together, to brainstorm about this and say, how can we help these younger generation? Because if we don't, then they're going to be lost. They're going to be disturbed, they're going to be angry, because this is not their story. They don't see their picture in those models that they see in Hollywood and abroad. Those are different, it's a different race. If God made, Pakistanis, God made Indians, God made Chinese, God made, Europeans, etc. And Native Americans. There's such different varieties of people. But if only one community is telling their story as the predominant story, then I don't fit into that. And that's a problem. Therefore, again and again, it's so important to go to our stories. Our stories, who's our heroes? You see, you've got to focus on who are your heroes, not just Superman. When I was a little girl, my hero was Superman because it had just come out on the big screen. And my father was posted at Princeton and Harvard. He was a professor. So I was seeing this image of this person flying. Now I know that this is created. For example, there was some Jewish scholar or young boy who wrote this story and described his community. And this young boy leading society out of trouble against all the challenges. So here I was a young girl and this was impacting me. But as an older person, as a scholar, as a person who's learning, a person who's writing a book, Gems and Jewels, the Religions of Pakistan, I was privileged enough to come back to Pakistan and look at Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai as my hero. Who's his hero? His hero is Rasulullah. His hero is Maulana Rumi. What does he hold in his hands? He's got Rumi's Matnavi in one hand, the Quran in the other. He's quoting books from all the faiths. He quotes Hindu texts. He quotes the Bible. He quotes the Hebrew Bible. So he's got a much wider and a much deeper perspective. But he's my hero. But I did not discover him in school. I discovered him through my own personal journey. So the challenge, beta, for Pakistan is to bring these books back into our curriculum. We cannot blindly follow another community who has their own journey and who has their own history. We've got to go back into our treasures.